Alright, well, so in order to prepare cured samples, we use such curing tools, which consist of two quite similar halves of the same aluminum, which our test heads are made of. So the CTE values match. And these are the test heads which we test the material in between. One of these I already fixed in one of the curing tools halves, and these are the surfaces which our material will be put in between, like this, with a specified thickness. Now what we are going to do is we set up a specified thickness, which in our case now we use such a thing here, which has some defined thicknesses as offered thicknesses, as I'm also measuring the thickness once again with a digital meter for these kinds of things, of course, to be very sure that this is accurate. And what we are going to do now is we fix these together. I'm gonna quickly do this. Tightly screw this together. Second one. So, and now we take the second one and put it on the other end. See, it is so the temperature holes are close together, and now we set up some defined gap in between using our little helper here. So I push them together with some slight force, and now I fix these small screws here in order to fix this in this curing tool. So we have our test heads fixed, facing each other with a defined gap in between. Now this is quite sticking in the test head, in the prepared test head gap now. So I release these screws once again, so I can remove our little helper, put it aside, and now I can disassemble the curing tool again. And now, as we can see, the screws removed already. We have this is a little unsharp. I can pull this sharp. So we have our clear gap in between, which has a defined bond line thickness. So now we're going to clean these surfaces with some isopropyl alcohol to remove any remaining dust or worse oil or fat from handling it with bare fingers. So very simple. So control the surfaces, they are in a good shape, and then we can apply our material. So we have the material here now. As we can see, it is a little bit dry, or it appears a little bit dry. Try to make a close-up again to show it a little bit. So it's a little bit dry, and but still it is shapeable. So it is a little sticky and a little moist still. So what I'm going to do is I use my fingers actually, not the spatula, because what I want to prepare is some kind of ball-shaped sample material. So the reason is, if we create a ball, do I have something to show? No. But if we prepare a ball and put it in between the surfaces, then by pushing it together we make quite sure that there's no air kept in between. So if we just tap it equally on the surface, we might get little holes and bubbles that are kept inside the material when we put it together. But if we create a ball which is pushed from the inside to the outside slowly when putting it together, we make quite sure that all the air in between is being pushed out. And what I now made is I have some, there's some isopropyl remaining. I have those powder-free gloves, which I also cleaned with isopropyl alcohol before handling here, to remove any kind of whatever, maybe some slight powder remains or so from production from the surface. So I do not insert or introduce any wrong material into our sample. And I'm now preparing such a small ball here, and the amount of material I'm using is actually quite freely defined. So I'm just creating a small ball, which is of course not a perfect ball, but quite close to it. Consider me an artist. And now I'm pushing these two surfaces together. I make sure I'm in the right direction, because two of those holes are through holes for screwing, and the other two holes are actually just holes with some mechanical tooling to keep them aligned. And now we can see, by pushing together the material, I think it's quite good to see, we slightly push out the material. So I hope it is good to see. Once again, go into close-up. Now, to control whether we used enough of material, I visually inspect all the sides, if on all sides there has been material pushed out. And yes, it's very difficult with this camera perspective actually for me. So now it looks very good. It looks very good. We don't have too much of material pushed out, but we have material pushed out on all the sides. So my feeling about the amount of material I used was quite good this time. And now I screw this together. So I have it fixed. I have my bond line thickness fixed again. That's what I want to achieve here. And then I put it into the oven for curing. That's it. So we have our test heads fixed and a defined bond line thickness, and the material in between fully covering the whole area. We will see in the end whether we can remove the outside material, the overlapping material, or not. However, for most of the measurements I'm not removing this material, because out of the fear of breaking the material inside the area I want to measure. So yeah, that's it. So the sample's prepared, we can put it into the oven. This one we cured for 150 degrees centigrade and for 1.5 hours. So let's go.